Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. I really appreciate it. And let me know what you think. I'd like to give a shout out to Combat Style Sports, David Reeves, and Brotnick for all the conversation during the draft. It was really fun having an exchange with everyone and getting some real time, like who are they going to pick? This guy's still available. So it really fun engaging with Rams fans. I love it. And I'd like to kind of let you know what I felt about this draft. I think the Rams nailed it. I mean, it's really crazy to be in a position where the Rams are just restocking the shelves and planning for the future instead of rebuilding. A very foreign concept for Rams fans. They made 11 draft pick trades in all, 6 during the draft, and the only draft pick that they used that was their own draft pick was the 5th rounder that they sent to Denver for Aqib Talib. They got it back for to take Obo Orawankwo. So kind of crazy how that happened. So I mean, let's get to it. I mean, it's no secret that the Rams needed offensive line and edge rushers and linebackers and inside linebackers and linebackers and linebackers and linebackers. But they really did what everyone thought they would do. They ended up getting 5 edge rushers, 1 inside linebacker, 3 offensive linemen, a defensive lineman, a running back, and I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. So Joe Noteboom out of TCU was the first pick, and Les Snead said that what he loved and what they really loved about him and stood out is that he won the combine and that he crushed it at the Senior Bowl playing left and right tackles. And the Senior Bowl kind of seems to be the litmus test for which Snead and company do a lot of their evaluations. So he was durable. He played every game at TCU and is a high character guy. So they drafted him as the heir apparent to Andrew Whitworth at left tackle. I mean, he could stop in for Havenstein at right tackle too, because Havenstein, Jamon Brown, and Saffold and Whitworth are all free agents next year after the season. So they really used this draft for the 2019 season. And then that's why they spent their second pick on Brian Allen, center out of Michigan State. Now, he was also super durable, played in a pro-style running game system, and has a nasty streak that a lot of people like. He's not afraid or intimidated by anyone. And if you haven't heard the call that Les Snead and the Rams gave to him, put into him to let him know he was drafted, it was pretty awesome. He kept mentioning, I'm just sitting here building a fire. And I'm like, where are you? Are you in the middle of the woods? But he was just building a fire in his fireplace, and then he took a picture of it and tweeted it. So yeah, you can actually see the fire he was building during that call, but it was kind of funny. He just seems like a no-nonsense guy. So I think that'll be a benefit to the offensive line. And then the third pick that they had was kind of a reach out of all of them. I'd say it was a reach only because I hadn't heard of him and I hadn't seen him on any mock drafts. Not to say that he wouldn't have been picked soon thereafter, but I felt like the guy out of Stephen F. Austin, John Franklin Myers, the defensive end, was kind of a reach, very raw, but high upside for him. So don't really know much about him. I don't think most people do. So we'll see what he brings to the table. I mean, he might be able to step in, but I kind of feel like it's gonna take a little bit longer for him. He's a little bit behind some of the other guys that they drafted, like Obo Orawankwo and Justin Lawler, who I'll get to next. The next pick they got was one of my favorite guys, one of the guys I predicted, Micah Kiser, inside linebacker out of Virginia. Apparently there's this rumor that he's had since the senior year of high school 700 plus tackles. He had 145 tackles just last year. He's known best for being a run stopper. And what Les Snead said that he really liked about Micah Kiser is that he's a good communicator. And as an inside linebacker, you have to be a signal caller, which the Rams don't have anymore since Alec Ogletree left. So I have a feeling that he could step in alongside Mark Barron and really be the signal calling inside linebacker and run stopper that they've lacked. So he's not great in pass protection, but I have a feeling that they can compensate for that with everyone else on the team, pretty much. So Micah Kiser, Senior Bowl, and a guy they brought in for a visit. Really like the Micah Kiser pick. Then they traded and got Obo Orowankwo from out of Oklahoma. Now, that was a guy a lot of people had going to the Rams with the first pick that they had in the third round, or their first pick, which happened to be in the third round. But what Les Snead proved to do and proved to really know is how the draft was going to play out. So I was expecting him to be taken in the Rams to take him in the third round, but they probably knew that by what other teams were doing, that he would be available a round or two later, and they were right, and they got him. So great value. I feel like he and Kiser are great value on those picks. He's going to rush the passer. He's going to be awesome in Wade Phillips' system. I think he's kind of like ready to go out of the box. And what DeMarco Farr said about him is that he's really excellent in contain and rushing the passer. So he not only can go after the quarterback, but he can prevent any of the big break loose runs that the other teams have. And, he probably would be a stud in special teams too. Now, the running back that they got, John Kelly out of Tennessee, a lot of people compare him to Alvin Kamara because he went to Tennessee, but I think their style is similar. He doesn't have the breakaway speed Kamara does, but he's very tough, and I think he could be a really good change of pace back to Todd Gurley, but he has to compete against Malcolm Brown and Justin Davis, so we'll see how that turns out. So out of the next 5 guys, the 2 that I'm most excited about are Jamil Denby, the offensive lineman out of Maine, another guy that was at the Senior Bowl and that they met with. And a little tidbit on Jamil Denby is that the new assistant wide receiver coach for the Rams was the offensive coordinator at Maine. So you had a little bit of inside information on Jamil Denby, and I'm sure had a large part in evaluating that and bringing him to the Rams. So I think that he was a tackle, but I think he'll slot into guard, and he could be the Jamon Brown replacement in 2019, or even if Brown falters or Saffold gets injured this year. The other guy that I really thought they hit a home run on was the last pick they had in the 7th round, and that's Justin Lawler, who I thought they would get or would be gone way before that. But then again, Les Snead knew what he was doing. Now, Justin Lawler, according to Pro Football Focus, had the top-rated edge rushing grade at 91 out of everyone, which is kind of crazy, ahead of Harold Landry and other guys. So, okay, I'll take it. He was compared to by DeMarco Farr as Connor Barwin Jr.-esque. I'm hoping a young Connor, not a last-year Connor Barwin Jr. And he loves to rush the passer, and he has tons of moves. So he's kind of out of the box. I expect Justin Lawler to have more of an immediate impact than Jonathan Franklin Myers. Same position, but I think Justin Lawler, he'll they let him just run after and get the quarterback. So I think Justin Lawler is gonna be a really solid addition. Now the other guys, I'm not gonna really go into too much detail, but I feel like Travon Howard, Trayvon Young, so 2 different spellings, but not even how you think. So had Google correct me on that one. And then Sebastian Joseph, defensive lineman, more of a D tackle. Those guys are rounding out what the Rams did. So I think that out of my predictions, they got four players. I didn't see No Boom or Allen or Franklin Myers coming at all. Those guys weren't even anywhere there. But I think it just kind of goes into Les Snead likes guys at the Senior Bowl. They bring him in for visits, and usually those are guys that they go after. But they filled the needs. They got their edge rushers. They got offensive linemen for depth this year and starting the following year. And they got a couple other little pieces. I think they really worked the board well. I didn't even talk about Tavon Austin. Sad to see him go, but it's just a reality. They save $1 million to put towards some of these extra guys that they picked. And I'll talk about Tavon in another edition of Rams Talk. But all in all, loved the draft. Was very excited about it the whole way. So let's see if they even trade any picks, 2019 picks, because next year could be even more fun. And they'll probably have a couple more as compensatory picks. Whew, when you're talking for almost 10 minutes, this is what happened. So that's a sign. I'm going to sign off, but thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and leave a comment. Let me know how you felt the Rams did in the draft, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So thanks for watching, and go Rams.